Hi, my name is Kay, and welcome to the first video for my channel. The reason I decided to start a YouTube channel was honestly just because I can. You'll probably hear my little companion here. Hi, baby. What you doing? I know. Okay. Say hello, Lucy. Hello, everybody. This is my pal, Lucy. She's 4 months shy of 15. And she's a beautiful border collie lab mix. And she's a baby. Anyway, so yeah, the reason I decided to do a YouTube channel is because I'm pretty much willing to try anything creative. I've always been in communications. My whole corporate life was about that. I got my degree in communications in university. So anyway, long story short, now I'm doing YouTube. But for those of you who tuned in to learn or get to know what I did when I got laid off in my 50s, I will tell you. It's quite simple. My first step was into straight out bricks and mortar entrepreneurship. I bought a couple of cottages and a shop, and so I had 2 Airbnb cottages and a pizza and ice cream shop a block and a half from the beach. So I put some money into that. I ran that for 4 years or so. It was wonderful. I had a bunch of students that worked for me that were amazing. It was really, honestly, very rewarding after a long corporate career. So then the pandemic hit. And it hit. And so I sold everything and moved to another part of the province. I live in Canada. And decided, because it was still the pandemic, there was a lot of remote jobs available. Yeah, so I thought, hey, what the hell? I could, do some kind of a remote job, not doing what I had previously done necessarily. No, I didn't want to go back into management or anything like that. I just wanted, a regular income. So I signed up with one of the big banks to be a fraud analyst person. And I did that for a better part of a year, I guess. And it wasn't too bad. The hours were a little, into the evenings and stuff, but overall, it wasn't a bad experience. It was worth doing, actually, and it was, yeah. So anyway, I gave that up after about a year because it was full-time hours, and to be quite honest with you, I was ready to sort of semi-retire. So that's what I did. I said, no, I'm done sort of with full-time work if I don't absolutely have to. So anyway, after that, I decided, you know what, I'm going to try a few little, or I'm going to try a part-time, face-to-face, retail job, frontline for a while and see how that goes. Because, I'd done that when I was going through university, and so what the hell, why not, right? So I did that for a couple of years. A couple of different places. Had a great time, met some amazing people. Didn't mind it at all. Only did 20, 22 hours a week, sort of thing. But then I had a little dog and she got sick and died. And then this one's getting older. And anyway, long and short, I gave that up after a couple of years just because I was like, okay, I've done this, Anyway, it was fun though. So after that, I thought, well, now what do I do? Because I need to do something. I can't just, not do something. I've always been like that. And I'll always try something new. So I thought, hey, gig app, right? I'll do a gig job. Yeah, anyone over the age of, 45 that I said, hey, I'm going to do this, they were looking at me like I had 3 heads. They were like, you're going to what? Anyway, so long story short there, I signed up with a grocery and delivery app. I'm not going to say the name just because I'm not sure if I even can. This is my first video. But most of you will probably know which one I'm talking about. And you know, that's that I've been doing that now for a while. It's not as lucrative, I guess you could say, as it was, you know, a couple of years ago, because people aren't tipping as much anymore. And, you know, I really don't get that, to be honest with you. Everybody, you know, tips their pizza delivery driver, sort of thing, like it's expected, as you would tip your waitress. But somehow people think they don't need to tip the person who goes and buys their weekly groceries, picks out all their produce for them carefully, checks expiry dates on everything to make sure they're getting the best ones, loading it all up nicely and bagging it properly and keeping meats and fresh veg separate and frozen stuff together, loading it into the car, driving it to their address, dropping it off for them, and they don't tip. I don't get these people who think they shouldn't tip for that service. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that. Leave it there. But on the most part, you know, it's lucrative enough that it's minimum wage plus your car expenses and a wee bit more if you get ones that are tipping okay and stuff like that. So I don't mind doing that. It's very part-time. It's whenever I feel like it. So if I'm having one of those days where little Lucy here is sleeping most of the day, which is pretty much what she does. She's very happy though. I'll take off for a few hours and just go do a little bit of the shop and delivery, make a few dollars. Gets me out and about, gets some mileage on my car that needs mileage. But yeah, I mean, so the point of this whole video, and I'm sorry it's taken me so long to get here, but I wanted to give you an idea of all the stuff I've tried since retiring from the big corporate job, right? And even doing it single, you know, no problem. To be honest with you, the big challenge with retirement or semi-retirement is keeping busy. Absolutely. So it's great for that. And I'm sure there's other gig apps that work really well. It just depends on your area, like where you're located and whether you're in the city or the country. So yeah, I try to tell friends of mine who are retiring or who are thinking of, you know, quitting and retiring, to not be afraid that they won't be able to find, you know, employment, you know, if that's what they want to do. Ageism is really rampant out there, or age discrimination, it really is. So I did try to get a couple more corporate jobs after I was laid off, but they want young people, they really do. And that's just the state of things. So you have to be able to flex and do something else and not let your ego get in the way, or other people's opinions of it, or anyone looking down their noses at you. It's ridiculous. You know, a job's a job is a job. You know, it's all above board. It's all, you know, legitimate. And so, you know, don't pay any attention to that stuff. Don't be embarrassed. Don't think, oh, I was a vice president of such and such, and, you know, there's no way I could do something like that. Yes, there is. It's not beneath you. Sorry to tell you, but it's not. You're human just like everyone else. We all, you know. Anyway, so, you know, don't be scared. Don't let your ego hold you back. Don't think that these gig apps will be too complicated to use. They're not. They're foolproof. Really, they are. Honestly, you can barely, you almost have to try to mess up to make these things mess up, because they keep such good track of everything you do. So imagine shopping, grocery shopping, and making sure you get all the right items. It's all done with the app. You scan the barcodes. It makes sure you've got the right thing. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that, but I want everyone out there to know that retiring or getting laid off in your mid-50s, it's not the end of the world. You can still keep working. Hopefully you don't need to keep making that kind of money, but then you are going to need to cut back in other ways, and that's what's coming up on my channel. Are multiple ways to save money every day. I'm one of the most frugal people you'll meet. And I thought I really need to share some of this with people so they can save a few bucks. And just slow living, cooking from scratch, just a nice relaxing channel where we can talk about things that are relevant and informative, and might save you some money or time, or even just give you a lift, a little boost, to have somebody talking to you in the background like they're your best friend. I can be anybody's best friend. So yeah, welcome to my channel. I hope you'll stay. I hope we'll become friends. I will share with you the ups, the downs, Lucy life, and everything else in between. And I really hope you enjoy it, because it's just going to be really simple, straightforward, authentic, and we can just spend time together. So anyway, thanks very much for tuning in. Please give me a thumbs up and like and subscribe, please. It would be great. And yeah, there is life after layoff in your 50s. Absolutely. So take care. We'll talk to you soon.